Good morning, and thank you for joining us on our campus at SUNY Oswego. It is such a pleasure to host Governor Cuomo today. We have some special guests with us that I'd like to acknowledge. Rob Simpson, is he in the house here? Rob, can you raise your hand? Rob, of course, is the chair of Center State CEO, and he also chairs the REDC, is the president of Center State CEO, and chairs the REDC, co-chairs it with Nancy Cantor. Thanks for being here, Rob. And Mayor Tom Gillen, who leads our city, the mayor of Oswego, also a proud SUNY Oswego alum. We're grateful to have him here today, too. I'm going to open this program by talking about Governor Cuomo and his attachment to the State University of New York and higher education. Over the last 2 years, Governor Cuomo has taken bold steps to ensure that the colleges and universities of the State University of New York play a key role in revitalizing our upstate economy. That is why he created New York SUNY, or NY SUNY 2020 grants, and made sure that academics from all fields were asked to participate in the regional economic development councils. He knows that our SUNY system is one of the jewels of the state, and that by working with New York businesses, we can help train our graduates, our students, for the jobs of tomorrow. And this year, with a third round of NY SUNY 2020 funding, more SUNY schools will have the opportunity to increase the impact of their work and become leaders in their fields. It has truly been an honor to work side by side with Governor Cuomo and his team, and I thank him for his dedication to ensuring that our SUNY system of higher education and all of the universities and colleges throughout New York State continue to be the best in the nation. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our Lieutenant Governor, Bob Duffy.
First of all, I want to thank Madam President for hosting today's event. I want to welcome you all and thank you for coming. If you want to understand how powerful Governor Cuomo is, there's no snow in Oswego. Now, there's snow in Syracuse, there's snow in the Thruway, but there's no snow in Oswego. We're very, very happy to be here. I just want to make some brief comments. When I was in Mayor Gillen's role as a former mayor in Rochester, I used to have a saying, the best thing about going to Albany to lobby was getting in the car and going back home. Because you go there, it was frustrating. And in over 2 short years, this governor has transformed a place. And it's not something you read about in the paper. It's not something you imagine. It is happening. It's people working together. It's a spirit of collegiality. It's both sides of the aisle. It's getting things done. Often people will say in the past, nothing got done. Now they'll complain it gets done too quickly, but it gets done because people come together, and it's the way government should work. And it happens because one person, this governor, came into town, was elected, and he has changed this. I always say with Governor Cuomo, leadership matters. It matters a great deal because he has led this change, and the change, to me, reverberates around this entire state. Central New York has benefited tremendously in the last 2 years. Rob Simpson was mentioned before. I want to thank Rob Simpson, Nancy Cantor, all the members of the Regional Council who are here. 2-time top prize winners in economic development, huge investments by Governor Cuomo in this program. This is a program that he created when he came into office that really regionalizes the economy and has done great things. And you should be very proud of your regional council. Again, 2 years top prize, but they're still behind the governor because he's got 3 years of an on-time budget. So 3 in a row he's done, and it points to the work that he has done in such a short period of time. And I'm going to close by saying this. When you go around the state, and you get a sense of the confidence that people have in the state because government does work. It works together. It focuses on what is best for the people of this state. To me, that is something that we should take a step back and really celebrate because it is happening. And I think it's one of the greatest accomplishments this governor has done among many. And the economic development piece, there is so much in with economic development, so many investments that we're seeing. It's about jobs, it's about creating jobs across the state. He has done a phenomenal job with this. And as a lifelong upstater, I see it firsthand in Rochester. I see it all around the state. So it is a pleasure to be here and be a part of this. And it would not happen without great partnership with the Assembly and the Senate. And it is proud for me to introduce somebody who's been a great partner for us in government, your Assemblyman, Will Barkley. Oh.
Well, good morning. It's a real pleasure for me to be here today. I want to welcome, obviously, the governor and lieutenant governor here to my home county of Oswego. Thanks for coming. Thank you for bringing the sunny weather. The only thing I ask, maybe come back tomorrow and warm it up a little bit here. We're ready for spring. I don't know about anyone else. I'm a winter person, but I'm definitely ready for spring to be here. I just want to take a second and recognize a few people. I want to recognize my colleague, Bill Magnarelli. Even though Bill and I are on separate parts of the aisle, I think we have a great relationship, and I enjoy working with him in the Assembly and look forward to working with him many more years to come. I also just want to recognize all the local officials that are here. One thing I love about this county, I think we have some great leaders here, particularly in the governmental area, and we have great elected officials here, so I just want to give my hats off, including the mayor, the majority leader, minority leader of the legislature, and all the other elected officials. Thanks for being here. I just want to say a couple things about the governor and his administration. First, I just want to mention the professionalism that the governor has and what he's brought to Albany. It's something that's been desperately needed in my 10 years that I've been in the state assembly. And even though I'm on a different side of the aisle of the governor and lieutenant governor, there's a lot of things I don't agree with them. I got to say they have brought leadership and professionalism to New York State and New York State government. So thank you very much for doing that. And the other easy thing I want to say, I think genuinely very good guys. I enjoy working with them. I like them both, and that makes working in government much easier. I think they're very sincere of wanting to move this state forward, and I appreciate that type of leadership and that genuineness and friendship. So thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's also a pleasure to introduce and welcome my friend Dave Valesky.
Thank you, Assemblyman Barkley, Assemblyman Magnarelli. It's always great to be with both of you, two of my colleagues in the Central New York delegation. It's a great pleasure to be here in Oswego with Governor Cuomo. It's actually a personal pleasure for me. I owe the governor a note of personal thanks. My son happens to be a freshman here at the college, so Governor, thank you for allowing me to see my son this morning for a little bit. I want to just share a few thoughts with you before we ask Governor Cuomo to talk about the budget that has been just passed, and he will be signing into law as we speak. But as you all know, last week the governor and the state legislature completed passage of the third consecutive on-time budget. 3 budgets in a row. Shouldn't be a big deal, but in New York State it's a huge deal because you have to go back 30 years to find a point in time in our state's history when we had 3 budgets on time. But it's more than just being on time. It's a fiscally responsible state budget plan, again, for the 3rd year in a row. As long as Governor Cuomo has been governor, we are holding the growth of the state budget under our self-imposed 2% spending cap. Local governments have to live within their means under the 2% tax cap that was enacted in Governor Cuomo's first term, and we are leading the way in terms of how we're putting budgets together, a fiscally responsible approach. The budget this year continues a bold agenda that Governor Cuomo has advanced in regard to businesses and making sure that our businesses can flourish. As part of our budget efforts this year, this budget will provide nearly $800 million in tax relief for businesses over the next 3 years. $800 million in tax relief over the next 3 years. It also includes, for businesses in the private sector, greatly needed reforms in the unemployment insurance and in the workers' compensation system. Those reforms will save the private sector $1.2 billion. And working with Governor Cuomo, we were not only able to offer small business tax credits that will grow the private sector, but we are also providing additional tax incentives to put our veterans back to work and to hire our youth for the workforce of the future. The governor recognizes that cutting taxes for business and making investments in our workforce sends a positive message and a positive sign to the private sector and employers all across the state of New York, particularly here in upstate. This year's budget is further proof that New York is no longer the tax capital of the nation, and that we are on our way to becoming one of the top locations in the nation to do business. With this budget, we are once again showing the rest of the country that Albany is working for the people of the state of New York. It is now my great privilege to introduce the governor of the great state of New York, Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, it is my pleasure, it is truly my pleasure to be back at Oswego. Many great memories. We were talking about it on the way in. Been here many, many times, done a lot of work at Oswego, going back to the old days when I was in the Department of Housing and Urban Development. I was at HUD, and we did a lot of work in Oswego, and we did work all along the canal. We had a whole restoration of the canal project to drive the economy in upstate New York. So a lot of friends in the room, a lot of good memories, and it's truly my pleasure to be back. I want you to know we're focusing on first things first in the state because we have priorities. You heard from the assemblyman and the senators about priorities. And the first priority that we have to address is we have to, as one, stand together, and we have to defeat Michigan this weekend and go Syracuse. And that is going to happen. To President Stanley, I want to thank you very much for having us. You're exactly right. We've done something different with the SUNY system. We've been investing in SUNY, but we're also using SUNY as an economic generator and an economic engine. So it's not just about education anymore. It's about education that leads to driving the economy and making that marriage. And SUNY has been such a jewel for this state for so long. You know, we take it for granted over the years, but it really is a special opportunity. My I have twin daughters who are now doing the college experience, excuse me, getting into college and going through that whole discussion with their friends. And the way they talk about SUNY and trying to get into the SUNY system, it really is something special. So I'm glad about the investment that this state has made in SUNY, and we're going to continue it. And SUNY Oswego is a beautiful example of how great this university system and your leadership, Madam President, is a special state asset. Let's give the President a round of warm of applause. You heard from our great Lieutenant Governor, who is the best thing this state has going for it. He's running the Regional Economic Development Councils all across the state. He is a one-man juggernaut. Let's give him a round of applause, Bob Duffy. And Assemblyman Will Barkley and Senator Dave Valesky. You've heard from both of them, and their colleague is here, Assemblyman Bill Magnarelli. To the extent the state is on a different trajectory over the past 2 years, and we're getting things done, I take the credit, Bob takes the credit, on the theory that if it went bad, we're going to get the blame anyway, so we may as well take the credit when the going is good. But the truth is, it is the partnership that we have with the legislature. And the truth is, this is a very different legislature than it has been in the past. And I think it comes down to something this simple. This legislature made a different decision 2 years ago. And we talked about it, and we were honest about it, and we decided that, you know what, let's leave politics outside of the room. Let's leave it at the door. We're Democrats, we're Republicans, but we are New Yorkers first, and let's act that way. And that's what you heard from Assemblyman Barkley, and that's what you heard from Senator Valesky, and that's the way they operate. That, yeah, we have differences, but our commonalities are more important. And what's most important is that we get the job done for the people of the state of New York. And we know what gridlock looks like, and we know what political frustration looks like. Let's show people how government can actually work when people are willing to work together as gentlemen and gentle ladies, and seeing each other for who they are and looking for the best in people. And that's what Will Barkley, and Dave Valesky are all about. Let's give them a round of applause, and Bill Magnarelli. To Mayor Gillen and Mayor Tobin, welcome. To Legislator Mike Kunstweiler, who's a good friend of mine, welcome. Let me make a couple of points on the budget, and then we'll get on with the official signing of it. You know, they talk about the budget in Albany, and it sounds like an abstract document from a faraway place, the state budget in Albany. Actually, it's anything but. This is a highly impactful document on your community, on your family, on your household. And it's not really a budget at all. It really is an action plan for the state and a blueprint about what the state government is going to be doing for the year going forward. And it's in three categories: what it means to your family, what it means for your job and the state's economy, and what it means for education. For families, the one thing we wanted to do was give them a break. Why? The economy has been tough. The economy has been tough for a long time. They talk about economic cycles. We have been down for a long, long time. And it feels every year that the economy has actually gotten worse because the decline has been so long. And the last thing we wanted to do was put any more pressure on New York families, any more pressure in terms of taxes, et cetera. We wanted to do the exact opposite. We wanted to give them tax relief. So what we had to do was actually reduce the spending in government, and we got it down to 2% for the third year in a row, 2% increase for the third year in a row, which is very, very low, which is actually below zero when you consider all the fixed costs. So we'd be in a position where we could cut taxes for New Yorkers. So with all the pressure they have in their life, with all the pressure they have at their kitchen table to pay the bills, we want to say New York is making it easier because we're reducing your taxes. This year, New Yorkers, middle-class New Yorkers, from $40,000 to $300,000 per year, which is a wide definition of middle class. Middle-class families will pay the lowest tax rate in 60 years. Think about that, 60 years. Not since Jackie Robinson played for the Brooklyn Dodgers have taxes been this low in the state of New York. And that's our way of saying to middle-class families, we understand where you are. On top of the low tax rate, next year families will get a $350 family tax credit for families with children. Just as our way of saying we're reducing the state cost, we want you to know we're doing everything we can to reduce the pressure on you. Central New York, that means 60,000 families. 60,000 families will be getting that tax credit. So that was the first statement we wanted to make. It was about families and helping families. Second was about jobs, because that's the best thing we can do, frankly, on the state side, is get the economy running. If the economy is running and we're producing jobs, people have careers. If the economy is running, Mayor Gillen, Mayor Tobin have a tax base. So the best thing we can do is try to get the economy running from whatever the state can do. Again, the best thing we can do is send a signal to business that we say New York is open for business. We want you to stay here. We want you to grow here. We want you to come here. And we're changing that reputation and that perception that we were the tax capital of the nation. We've been talking for years. Businesses are more mobile. If they think they're going to pay the highest taxes in the country, if they stay in the state of New York, they will leave. We want to send a different signal. We want to say, we got it. And taxes are going down, not up. And we want you to stay with us. And in this budget, we cut taxes for businesses. We focus on small businesses. We focus on jobs, manufacturing businesses, because they're the ones that create the jobs. And we're actually cutting taxes on small businesses and manufacturing businesses. As part of the jobs agenda, we then are investing in the jobs and through a public-private sector partnership. You hear us now, you heard in the introductions talking about REDC. They now say REDC like it's an acronym that is known. It stands for the Regional Economic Development Councils. And this is something we started 2 years ago, where every region in the state is now organized. The businessmen from that region, the political leaders from that region, the academic leaders from that region, all come together to design a strategy for economic development for that region. Why? Because the old way of doing it didn't work. The old way was the state government was going to tell you the way to build the economy in your region. It doesn't work. Because in truth, there is no one New York State economy. There are regional economies. And Long Island is one economy, and the North Country is one economy, and Western New York is one economy, and there is no one-size-fits-all. So if you want to grow the economy, you have to grow it from that region. And you have to organize on that region and come up with a vision for that region. And then we invest in that region's vision. That's what the Regional Economic Development Councils are all about. 2 years running. It's running very well. There's a great energy. Nancy Cantor is doing a great job. Rob Simpson is doing a great job in Central New York. This budget has a third round for the REDCs to keep those regional economic development visions developing and growing. We also invest in a program that we're going to put on top of the REDCs that I'm excited about, which we call Innovation Hotspots. Innovation Hotspots are business incubators that take the new business ideas that are coming out of schools and institutions of higher learning and commercializing them. Where this state has been losing out, interestingly enough, is the economy now where jobs are being created, jobs are coming out of the high-tech industry, institutions of higher learning come up with the great new idea, the new chip, the new application, the new cell phone, whatever the new high-tech idea is. And we birth those ideas in this state because we have the greatest schools in the country. We birth the ideas, but they've been leaving the state to become businesses. And we birth them, and they leave, and they go to California, they go to Austin, Texas, they go to Massachusetts, and that's where they become businesses. We want to keep them here. The innovation hotspots are, we will create partnerships between universities and a business incubator that when that idea is birthed in the university, we put it in a business incubator. The business incubator will provide support services for that new business, lawyers, accountants, financial advisors. The incubator will be a tax-free zone. First time ever done. No taxes in the business incubator. So that business knows the best place to be in the country is right here in the state of New York because you're paying no taxes. There's no state could possibly be doing anything more for you. And we grow that business in that incubator. One condition, one caveat, that business agrees to stay in the state of New York, and those jobs stay in the state of New York, and this state grows along with that business. That's part of... We have a venture capital fund that the state is going to run that we're going to continue to invest in those businesses. In this budget, we have a very aggressive marketing plan for tourism in upstate New York because we haven't really told the story of the beauty and the assets that we have in upstate New York. We tell that story, people will come. Tourism is a great economic opportunity for this state. We just have to tell the story more aggressively. We have a Taste of New York promotion campaign for New York products. We make all sorts of great products in this state. Dairy products, wine products. We have a great array of products that we're producing, and we haven't told that story either. That's also in this budget. Part of job development is making sure once people have a job, the job pays a wage that is livable. Right now, the minimum wage in the state of New York is $7.25 an hour. If you work full-time at $7.25, you make $14,600 per year. You cannot live on $14,600 per year in the state of New York. You can't. It's not a question of frugality, you spend too much money. You can't do it. The numbers don't add up to $14,600. We proposed, and this budget raises the minimum wage to $9 an hour. It was the right thing to do. It was the fair thing to do. It was long overdue, and this state of New York is actually going to do it, and I'm proud of it. That minimum wage increase is going to affect 35,000 families just in central New York. Think of it, the impact that we're going to have on families. And it's going to be good for the economy because those families are going to have more money to spend, and they are going to spend it. You know, it's not like it's going to be sitting in a bank account. The third piece that this budget is very aggressive about is education. And it starts with primary education, where we will fund our schools in this state at the highest level in history. This budget increases aid to schools by $1 billion. Central New York, that's an extra $40 million to Central New York schools. So we're putting our money where our mouth is. Education is important, and we're increasing funding to education. But at the same time, education can't just be about funding, because it is also true that we spend more money on our schools than any state in the nation. Number one in the nation on spending, and we're at the bottom of the list on performance. So it's not just about the money. We increase the money, but we also understand it's not how much money you spend, it's what you actually accomplish. It's the achievement, it's the performance. For the first time ever, we've talked about it for years, we're going to put in a teacher evaluation system in every school. It's going to start this year. We're going to evaluate every teacher's performance, every classroom's performance, find out what works, what doesn't work, what teachers are doing well, model that behavior, reward that performance, find out what teachers need help, get those teachers the help they need. But let's measure the performance for the students and the achievement, because it's not just about providing the bureaucracy with more money to grow the bureaucracy. It's about educating the children who attend the school. That's going to be a shift in how the paradigm that we bring to education, but it was long overdue. We're also going to be investing in We're also going to be investing in longer school days and longer school years. And this is a little bit, I believe, ahead of its time, and it's going to take a few years. But the direction we have to move is clear. The children in schools today are not just competing with other children in other states and other neighboring communities. It is a global competition. Other countries do better educating their children. Why? First of all, because they educate their children more. Their children spend more time in the classroom than our children. We have an old calendar from an agrarian society. We give our children off in the summer so they can be home to work in the fields and help their families. The other countries are ahead of us. I firmly believe if what we say is what we believe, that it's about education, it's about our children, then we're going to have to start to increase the amount of time we educate them. That means either a longer day instead of 9 to 3, or a longer school year. Not as much vacation time, not as much summer vacation time. That is the right direction, and that is the direction we have to go. That is also a very complicated proposition, because as a society, we're organized around those schedules. Kids get out at 3 o'clock, people organize their day, summer vacations. What we've said in this budget is this. We believe this is the direction to go. We believe the faster we get there, the better. There are 700 school districts in this state. We're going to leave it to all 700 school districts to decide what they want to do, if anything. But as an incentive, any additional cost for more education, either a longer day or a longer year, the state of New York will pay 100% of the cost, so that local district doesn't have to pay. That's our way of saying that's the way. Investing in the SUNY system, investing in the community college system just continues that arc. As I said, SUNY is a jewel. Higher education is everything, and we've been investing at a greater level than any time in decades in the SUNY system. and it's an investment that is going to reap dividends, I am sure, and I'm proud of it. Last point is this. You heard the Lieutenant Governor mention this is the third budget that we have done in a row on time. Now, you might say, big deal. You're supposed to do a budget on time. That's just a normal prerequisite. Yeah, and you could say that. And you could say that getting a budget done on time is to be expected in the real world. But in Albany, it was extraordinary to get a budget done on time 3 years in a row. It's the first time since 1984 that we've had 3 budgets on time in a row. Little trivia question. So here's a trivia test. Who was governor in 1984 when you had 3 budgets in a row? My mother's husband. That's right, Mario Cuomo. Now, 84. My father was elected in 1982. Of the three budgets that were done on time, 2 of the budgets were my father. One of them was his predecessor, Governor U.L. Carey, God rest his soul, who was a great man. His last budget was on time, and then my father's first 2. So those were the 3. But my father had 2 on-time budgets. I have 3 on-time budgets. Not that I am competitive with the old man, I want you to know. But when the budgets were not on time, it became a symbol of the dysfunction of Albany. And I remember very well, it was an annual show that you would see. On the nightly news, it was there every night. The budget is supposed to be done 1 week. April 1st is the deadline. The big question is, will the state have the budget done on time? And there was all this anticipation, maybe, cautiously optimistic, we hope, we think. And then the deadline would come and the deadline would go, and it would be just another year of the dysfunction and the chaos of Albany. And then there'd be finger pointing, and then it would go on for a long time. The budget wasn't just late by like a day or 2 days. They would be months and months late on the budget. And then there was this whole political argument that went along with it. And the Senate would blame the Assembly, and the Assembly would blame the Senate, and the Democrats would say the Republicans are bums, and the Republicans would say the Democrats are bums, and it would just go back and forth. And you'd watch this, and you would be disgusted. First, that you blow the deadline, you're the government, and you blow a deadline. You know, you don't get to do that in your life. April 15th is the deadline to pay your taxes. I didn't get to it this year. I was arguing with my wife about, what exemptions we should take, and we couldn't agree. It was the dysfunction, the chaos, it was the politics that just had run amok. And that went on for many years, and I believe it was one of the main reasons why people distrusted state government and that distance. Getting the budget done is the exact opposite. It is the reverse metaphor. It's not that the government only works that 1 week when we get the budget done. It works 50 weeks a year, and that's why the 2 weeks that we actually do the budget, we actually get it done. And it goes back to what I was saying before about Senator Valesky and Assemblyman Barkley. It's putting the politics aside and doing your job for the people in your district, and doing the job for the people of the state of New York. That's what it's about, making the government work. And why is it important that the government work? Because the government is just us. We talk about the government at times like it's something else. Well, the government, like it's a different entity, like it's a different being, it's a different planet. The government is us. The government is just our committee to do the things that we can't do ourselves. So we come together, and we get a group of people who form a committee, and we call it a government. And we say, okay, you're going to help us get the things done that we need to get done. We have to run schools. We have to get businesses. We have to build roads. We have to have people to clear the roads. And you're going to do that. And when the government fails, we all fail. And this state has suffered for many, many years. And the economy is bad. And upstate New York has paid a price. And a big part of it is because we had a state government that wasn't working with the people of this state, wasn't working with the local governments of this state, and the dysfunction cost us a long, long time and a lot of lost opportunities. And that is over. And these 2 years, we have started to change the trajectory of the state, and we're going to do even more. This state has every asset imaginable. I spent 8 years in Washington. I worked in every state in the country. I was in every state in the country multiple times. There is nothing that any state has that we don't have in New York. We have the geography. We have the best health care system in the country, the best schools in the system, the best workers in the system, the best people in the country. But we haven't had a government that we've been working with. And that's what this all comes down to at the end of the day, making this state a better state. Why? Because as parents, as citizens, what we're here to do is to make sure we leave this place a better place for our children. That when we leave, we can say we left our home a little better, a little safer, a little stronger, a little cleaner for our children than for what we had. We gave them a home that gave them a better opportunity. And their home is the state of New York, and it is going to stay the state of New York. That, my friends, is a mission we are not going to fail at. You have my word. Thank you, and God bless you. What we have here today is a hockey puck. Why? 3 budgets in a row, 3 goals, a hat trick. So that's what I'm